Good morning and welcome to Face the Nation. I'm John Dickerson. At least 19 people have died as a result of the storm that has crippled the East Coast. Some 80 million people have been affected. We begin our coverage with Kris and Cleave here in Washington.
Good morning, John. The story of this storm really varied by geography, but here in Washington, it brought us more snow than we typically get in an entire year. When the blizzard conditions finally lifted, the nation's capital was blanketed in roughly 2 feet of snow, turning the usually green National Mall to a sea of frigid white. One western suburb reported 39 inches of snow from the monster storm that pounded the Washington, D.C. area for 36 hours. Maryland's governor closed stretches of 3 interstates overnight, banning all non-emergency vehicles. The blizzard hit the South first, dumping snow and ice and knocking out power to thousands. More than 10,000 flights have been canceled since Friday as the blizzard made its way north. Flights to Washington and New York aren't expected to resume until sometime Monday. Washington's subway and buses aren't running as the Great Digout finally begins. Further north, the storm caused a huge 500-car backup on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Among those stranded for an entire day was a bus carrying the Temple University girls gymnastics team. Here in Washington, a region not known for its response to snowstorms, the big question is, will the city be ready to open for business on Monday, or will weather gridlock mark the start of the week?
Kris Van Cleave for us in Washington. Thanks, Kris. Marlie Hall is in New York City this morning, where the storm hit harder than first expected. Marlie?
John, here in Central Park, snow totals reached 26.8 inches, just shy of the record set back in 2006. Cars are back on the roads this morning. Bridges and tunnels are open, but yesterday the city was on lockdown. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio banned travel on roads, bridges and tunnels until 7 a.m. this morning, and this is why.
This is a very big deal.
Service on buses and most trains were also stopped. More than 2 feet of record-breaking snow and ice blanketed New York City. Hurricane-force winds created whiteout conditions. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo declared a state of emergency, then jumped into action to help a motorist stuck in the snow. But not everyone was so lucky. There were more than 400 accidents, none of them fatal. There was some disappointment on Broadway. Shows were canceled yesterday, and ticket holders had to find other ways to weather the storm. Officials said more than 2,500 snowplows were deployed around the city to clear roads. While there has been a lot of progress, the mayor said things won't get back to normal here in the city before the start of the work week tomorrow.
Marlie Hall for us in New York. Thanks, Marlie. And out on the Jersey Shore, Jericka Duncan is standing by. Jericka?
Good morning, John. This historic blizzard brought more than just snow. Look at this water behind me. It is rising here along the Jersey Shore, and that is what a lot of people were concerned about. Some of the streets in the neighborhood I'm standing in are flooded, and you can barely see there's actually a bench underwater behind me. Now, the ocean waters reached high tide last night and this morning, causing the water to rise at a nearby inlet and bay. That put hundreds of homes at risk. Coastal flooding remains a concern this morning. The National Weather Service expects road flooding and minor to moderate property damage. Conditions have improved since yesterday when large chunks of ice flowed down this street in Ocean City, and officials in at least one shore town issued a mandatory evacuation. Governor Kris, who left the campaign trail Friday in New Hampshire because of this storm, said this was his 17th snow emergency in 6 years. So we know how to do this. Right now, a state of emergency is still in effect here in New Jersey. The waters are expected to recede. The issue today is cleaning up the snow and, of course, assessing the overall damage. John?
Jericka Duncan for us on the Jersey Shore. Thanks, Jericka.